Welcome back to Real Estate Raccoons. This is week 165. We're going to dive into the Toronto real estate market today. We're going to talk about a lot of things, most specifically about condos and how they are reacting right now. Condo supply in the urban communities dropped by 15% week over week. I have not seen a pullback in supply in houses or condos at this level in 1 week ever. So what's going on? Well, sales are up. So people are buying all the stuff that's coming to market and it's not being replenished with new supply. But we'll get into that in a moment. We're also going to talk about some key dates coming up in the US and Canada that will give us an idea of what is to come in terms of inflation, interest rates, prices, activity, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to share some personal insights, a very personal story about how I practically lost everything in 2016 and 17 with some terrible business decisions, but how I climbed back up the real estate ladder. I could not afford to buy in Toronto, so I had to get creative. And I really hope that that message comes across to you guys, those that are frustrated with Toronto real estate prices. You do have options. You don't have to put your head down and be sad that you don't have the same experience that your parents might have had in this very same city. There are options for you to get into your dream home in the city that you want within 5 to 6 years. You just have to baby step your way there. So we're going to talk about that. And right now is actually a pretty good time for a condo owner to upgrade into a house because houses are still flying. Don't get me wrong, but condos are now selling really, really well. And with the increasing of house supply, you might have a little less competition out there. But I think we need to give it a few more weeks before we see some less competition in houses because there's not nearly enough listings to keep buyers satisfied at the moment. So don't forget to smash that like button or the subscribe button wherever you're watching this. I can't do any of this without your support, and please comment with any questions below. So week 165, it's 165 weeks since March of 2020, since I started this journey. I had this idea to stop like a couple of weeks ago, and I got some really good, encouraging feedback to not do that. So I'm not stopping. Don't worry about that. We're going to keep this going nice and strong. So let's dig into the market a little bit. And I don't have the blog up yet because it's so early. You guys on YouTube are the first to see this even before it gets emailed because I got to publish it before I put it in the website and email it out. So there's a little secret hack for you to get access to this report early. So last week we had a 14.8 to be specific percent drop in the number of condo listings from 1,430 down to the mid 1,200s. And you can take a look at that. The link is in the comments on YouTube to the full article. I have been pasting all of the content in the description, but I'm not going to do that. I want you guys just to go to the website and check it all out there because it's just more complete with all the charts and everything. So go to thespringteam.ca/blog and look up the latest report, and it's all right there. So right now, as we know, I've called the bottom of the market December of 2022. Things have been kind of improving since then. And right now, we've had, a couple of weeks in a row of listings adding. Supply increasing. So this week was super crucial to see what was going to happen. With houses, there continued to be more listings available, but sales also went up to absorb a lot of those new listings. So we're still seeing massive competition in houses. And I just wanted to kind of show you one thing here. How do I get my screen shared here? Let's get this screen shared over here. And looking at these listings, because like the majority of houses in Toronto are going to sell for well over $1 million, especially ones that are like fully turnkey and nice. And people would love to be like, well, look at what let's go to this guy over here for $990,000. Look at this. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted to show you. Was it this one? There was kind of one dumpy one that was like people love to highlight, like this one over here at Edgewood Gardens, Coxwell and Gerrard area. So if we look at this property here and we look at the sale price of $905,000, it's very easy to be like, oh, I'll never find anything that's livable in Toronto for my budget. And if you're basing it just on this, sure, it's easy to get sad. Content creators online love to highlight sales like this because it feeds into the narrative that just you can't access any properties in Toronto for less than $1 million. But you've got to look at the neighborhood. This is a popular neighborhood, big lots, big houses. But this one is also a similar just land value only type of sale at $715,000. but this place in East York. And I really think that the O'Connor, Broadview, and even O'Connor, Woodbine, like that whole East York area, St. Clair and O'Connor, like Ferris Drive, like all those streets there are highly overlooked by people. Like, sure, it's only a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom house for now, but you can't really buy a 2 bedroom condo for $870,000 in a desirable neighborhood. So, like, you get an entry level house like this that doesn't need any work at all, and you're living, baby. Like, just get in there and get started. This is actually one of the nicer homes for under $900,000 that is available. And down the road, you can, it's got a full basement. So you can, do some renovations down there. You could add a bathroom down there. You can add more bedrooms down there. Like, do some underpinning. Like, you've got full control in a property like this to do all kinds of things. So don't listen to those people that say that, you have to have this massive amount of money to get into this property. Like, as a first-time buyer, you need to save, of course, like up to, like, let's say, $60,000 to $80,000 for a home like this, and that's not easy. But if you're looking at a smaller condo or something like that, you can get away with much smaller down payment. And here is another property that is totally livable and more than livable. It just has some dated features that you could totally finish down the road. And what I really wanted to kind of highlight with what I'm saying right now is I think a lot of first-time buyers or people that are frustrated with the market and what's available to them are looking to fall in love with that first property they see. And in the 15 years that I've been doing this, some first-time buyers have been lucky enough to have the budget to love the first their first property. But the majority of the time, you're not going to. You've got to love the neighborhood. You've got to love kind of the things you can't change about the home or even like them a lot, right? But then on the inside of the home, it's fair game. All that stuff is changeable. Sure, it costs money to change, but like it's all changeable. And it is possible to get into Toronto houses for under $1 million. It's just not easy. From the 77 sales I've got here, 7 of them and 2 of them are not livable as is. So we really 5 out of the entire city of Toronto are under $1 million. The rest are well over $1 million, up to $6 million on Hazelton that we had a sale this week. So there's a lot of opportunity for people if you just kind of pull your head out of that victim mode of like, oh, it's not going to work out for me. Toronto's too expensive for me. Toronto is very expensive, and you have to make some changes to make things happen for yourself. So back to the market report. So right now, things are looking really good from all angles, from employment to inflation to what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, to even mortgage defaults, which have decreased since the peak of 0.6%. I think that was from September, October, November stats. Hopefully will come out soon. That's how lagged they are. So I'm not sure if I take that with a grain of salt because it's not as current. But banks are working with people to they're extending amortizations temporarily, which is fine. And again, you're going to see a lot of content out there about people like, oh, it'll take you 96 years to pay off this mortgage. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what's required right now. So the bank doesn't trigger some sort of like bankruptcy default situation. As long as they can work with homeowners, they will, temporarily extending the amortization as much as they need to make sure people don't default, and then bringing that back as rates come down is a totally reasonable way to manage this. And I don't know why people are hating on that so much. Like, if we can bail out massive companies over the years doing this and that, you can at least help out a homeowner. And that's exactly what's happening out there. Like right now, on my mortgage, I'm not paying anything down to principal. I'm basically paying myself rent, paying the bank rent to live in my house. My house is on the market, by the way. 308A Beach Grove Drive. We made a pretty awesome music video. It's on my Instagram. It's on the Spring Team Instagram at RMMO. Go check it out. You're going to want to watch this. We rewrote the lyrics to Started From the Bottom, Now We're Here. Started from a condo, now we're here. It's sick. My boy Cash Alavi, who's one of the best content creators out there in real estate land, helped me out big time. He was a big part of that. He made it happen. So go to my Instagram and watch that. But long story short, there are a lot of things that are working in the favor of Toronto homeowners right now. Those that want to sell, those that want to refinance, whatever it is you want to do. Buyers are having a difficult time for buying houses, and they are starting to have a super difficult time accessing condos as well. Because if you've been following this blog, you know that we've had a condo supply issue that was piling on, so showing some relief, but now we've got a 15% drop in the number of listings. Let's see what happens next week. So I really want to talk about this one thing for a minute. And I want to talk about people who are constantly in this dark place about how they cannot afford Toronto real estate anymore. And it sucks. Like when I was in my early 20s, I was able to buy a condo for $178,000 at Bayview and Shepherd. That does not exist anymore. It's more than double, almost triple the price now for that same condo. My parents in the late 80s, early 90s were able to buy a house for $200,000 with like $10,000 or $12,000 down. That house I sold for my parents at the beginning of COVID for almost $1 million. Those days are over for Toronto where you can access properties at that price, but that doesn't have to be a sad thing. So in 2016 and 17, I practically lost every penny that I had and then some. Had to sell my house, made some terrible business decisions with the money, and ended up in a place where there was nothing left. And I was pretty damn sad about that. Like, I'm in real estate. I'm not supposed to put myself in that position when I'm advising other people at the highest possible level that I can. So that really hurt for me. But I'm a scrapper. Like, I'm an optimistic person. Like, I'm not going to get down about that stuff. And I can make things happen when I need to make things happen. So I was just looking around for what my opportunities are in the lowest possible price point. So like, I'm looking, what can I get for 200 grand somewhere? And I looked out 3 hours out of Toronto in Parry Sound on this like unknown, undesirable little area. I found a rundown cottage. And honestly, I bit the bullet. I had saved like 15 to 20 grand back by then. And you need to have money to buy real estate. Let's just start right there, okay? You're not going to buy real estate with somebody else's money, like these seminars always teach you. There are ways to raise capital to invest, but these aren't just random people that are handing you money because you asked for it. Like, you have to decide that you want to get into that business, put a proper plan together and make it happen. That's what these people that go to these seminars don't understand. Like, yes, it is possible to buy real estate with other people's money because it happens every single day. What do you think the banks do? They're using your money to buy stuff. It happens every single day, but it's not easy. It's not turnkey. It requires a full-time commitment. So for the normal person who doesn't want to make real estate investing their business and actually go all in on it, you need to have money. If you've saved 20 to 30 grand, you can find something somewhere that will get you started. And that's what I need you guys to wrap your heads around. It's not like, oh, I can't afford to buy in Toronto. My life is over. We should do something. Let me call the government to like do this and do that. Anytime the government steps in and makes it easier for you to access a property where you want it, it makes it more expensive for everybody else. That is not a game that should ever be played, but unfortunately it is, especially in election years. But I digress. We don't need to rant about that. Look for a property that you can afford. Look for $200,000 to $300,000 properties as far away from where you live as possible. Look in the States, look in overseas, look in other parts of the rural areas that have good rental rates. Look in places that nobody else is looking, or that people are looking, but they don't understand. Reach out to me and I have a blueprint for this and I can walk you through it, but you need to have saved, like, let's say at the very least like $10,000, $15,000, but around $30,000 is that ideal spot where you can cover your down payment, you can cover your closing costs and have a little bit left over for some renovations. So it is possible, and that $30,000 investment will turn into a $2+ million dream home for you in a much shorter time than you think. Or you can just sit there and complain that you can't afford Toronto and be in the exact same spot 5 years from now. So imagine if you just open your mind a little bit and say yes to that opportunity, to reaching out and asking me for this blueprint. Just imagine 5 years from now, you're actually in a home in the city that you want, that you own. That is possible. We just have to start thinking more positively about these things and not getting down about the fact that you can't go from 0 to 100 real fast in one of the most popular cities on the planet. Cool? So we can talk about that. Personally, I went from this cottage in Parry Sound, which no longer, you can't do that anymore. That area is too expensive now, but there are others. There will always be another. This stuff is repeatable. Just you have to repeat it in a different way in a different area. You're not going to do it in the exact same way that I did. This $204 or whatever $1,000 cottage that I flipped for 300 and change a year later, after renting it out and blah, 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 I used that money to buy a pre-construction condo for my family to move into in the Canary District. And that condo, when we sold that and turned it into the $2+ million house that we live in today, plus another investment that we have, plus another investment that we have. All of this started with, at the time, a $20-ish thousand investment, and that is possible for you today, no matter what anybody says. Are there other better ways to invest? I don't know about the word better, but there certainly are other ways to invest, but nobody can create the amount of leverage that real estate can create. So that money that you've saved, you can put it in an RRSP, you can invest it however you want. That's totally cool. Do you, boo? But for me, I'm all in on real estate. So it is possible. I don't want to hear how sad you are about the fact that you can't buy here. Let's get positive about it and move forward. Reach out and I will help you understand how to do this. And I don't even benefit when I send you out to these places. Like, I don't even take referral fees from these agents. I just want you to get started so then we can meet back here in Toronto and make some moves here, playing the long game. So that is kind of my story, and I'm happy to tell you more individually about that. But there's really nothing else to really get into because I think I've said it all. There's some key dates coming up for, the U.S. Fed. The Fed announces their CPI numbers, which will give us an idea of which way inflation is heading on the 10th of May. We don't have another interest rate announcement until June 7th, I think the date is. I'm not looking at my blog right now, but June the 7th, I believe the date is for the next rate announcement here. So we have a bit of a runway of relative positivity. So there should be a fairly consistent market like this, heated for sellers, and for about another month. We'll see what happens on May the 10th. If the US comes up with some sort of surprising figure, then we'll obviously have to adjust what I'm saying here. But for now, I feel like another rate hold is coming up in June, but there is a possibility of a slight rate increase at that time. But from what I'm seeing out there, buyers are cool with it as long as it's a baby increase like a 0.25. It's when we get into the 50 basis point, 75 basis point, 100 basis point increases that people start to freak out a little bit because that's when things become uncertain, they become unpredictable. Sellers kind of panic a little bit, but we know we're not full of panic sellers here in Toronto. So, long story short, guys, week 165, thank you so much for your support. I want to hear everything you've got to say in the comments below. Email me, call me, text me, whatever it is you want to do. And I want to tell you my story. I want to tell you how I went from 0 to 100 in 5-6 years, 5.5 years to be exact. So let's talk about it and don't be shy. I want to hear about your specific situation. I want to help you through it. So that's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe. Real Estate Raccoons, the Spring Team. Let's go. Have a wonderful day, everyone.